Hi, it's Oga Solar, and in this video we're going to be showing you the Growatt ES Series 5000. We're going to be giving you a review about it and the out of the box, and we're going to be showing you a few other things about it. And here we have the parallel kit, data cable for the inverter to inverter, and you have the parallel connection cables which allows you to do the inverter to inverter communication, parallel communication. And here you have the printer cable or the USB to printer mount, where you could use that to get your data over a computer for those that have the software on the computer. And you have the Shine monitoring phone, which is the Wi-Fi, comes with the box. And here you have the manual of the Shine dongle, and here you have the manual of the inverter itself. So in this video we're going to be pairing this Growatt inverter with a Growatt Hope 4.8 kWh lithium iron phosphate battery. These here are the terminators for the USB, and we're going to be showing you that shortly, and I'm going to bring it out of the box. Okay, so we have the Growatt 5 kW ES series. It's been unboxed. And here we have the Growatt Hope 4.8 kWh lithium iron phosphate unboxed. And we also have back here the kit for the Hope 4.8 kWh battery. Here we have the positive and the negative cables that goes to the battery to battery. Here we have the communication cable that goes from the battery to the inverter. And here we have the communication cable that goes from battery to battery. And here we have the cable locks that actually comes with the battery. And here you have the terminal hexagon screw head that fix this to the kit that comes with the battery. Here you have two sets. Here's set one, and here's another set in here. So these are how to allow you to place the battery in this rack and have it being raised away from the ground. So if we go through this Growatt inverter, we can see we have the PV connector here, which is the negative, which is the positive here. And on the battery terminal block here, we have the negative, and we also have the positive. And here we have the control board for it, and we also have some other board underneath there. And here is the input connector block here, which is the neutral, the live, and the earth. We also have the output block here, which is the neutral, the live, and the earth. And we have the breaker. This is just like a formality when the inverter is overloaded, and this comes out like this, just pops out, and then you have to reset it back. And here you have the host where you get your cables in. And here you have the BMS port where you would have your battery communication done. Here you have the dongle. The dongle goes in here, this is the dongle, and that goes in here just like this. You have it screwed in. And you have the dry port connector here for those who wants to use generator or probably some other advanced function. The PV cables goes in here, the DC battery connectors goes in here, and you have the parallel connection. So this is where the more of the RG cable I showed earlier goes into. And here you have the two pole red and black cables that was showed earlier goes in here, and you have the switch. So that's just a big breakdown about this Growatt inverter. And just here, if you switched on, you have the escape, you have the navigation buttons, and you have the enter to go into the configuration. And you have the Growatt Hope 4.8 kWh. You have it here, which is 48 volts nominal. It's a 100 Ah battery, running at 93 Ah. You also have it as a 4.8 kWh. So what you can take out from it is around 4.46 It's IP20 rated, and you can charge it at 50 amps, and then you could discharge at 100 amp power. And that's just a big breakdown about it. And you have this PCS is what comes here, is what you have it as the one that goes from the battery, and from here it goes to the inverter. And you have the link outs and the linking. This is where you have the parallel connection between for the cables that comes with the battery that goes from here to the other battery. This short cable does that. And you have the battery terminal block, so you could have one battery here, you could have another battery here. So these two blocks allows you to do more of a communication between battery to battery, and then from the last battery onto the inverter. And this cable, you can see here, is rated for 100 amps, so you don't want to push more than that through, as that is what is the maximum rated charging or discharging capacity. And I think that's just it. So we're going to be showing you how to run this shortly, and so you could have an understanding of how it operates. Okay, so now we've had the temporary battery connector attached to the inverter, which is the negative, which is a black, the red, which is a positive. And we have that done on the same side with the battery, which you have the black on the negative and you have the red on the positive. And here we would have the X terminal here for grounding the batteries, and here we have the state of charge, which is SOC, or some call it SOC, and you have the alarm here, and you have the run. You have the run here, and so here's the power. In order to turn on this battery, you'd have to press the power button for like about a second or two, and that comes on. And you'd have to hold on for a little while. And don't forget, we're working with a Growatt Hope 4.8 kilowatt hour battery. And here you see we have an alarm being turned on, which is just stating to us that something is wrong with our setup and we need to have it checked out. And if we are to check it shortly, we can see with our multimeter that if we are to go through the terminals, that would have, say, almost a 2.7 or almost nothing. Which is, since this is a 48 volt battery, this is like nothing is happening. So we'll turn it off. So we then turn it off for a while, say 2 seconds to turn it off. And once it goes off, you then get the terminals, the CAN terminals that comes with the battery, shown earlier in the video. You then have it plugged on into the link out, or let's say link in first, and you also have it plugged on into the link out. Now we can then go back and then turn on. So that's the way to clear the error. You can then go back and then have it turned on back again. And now we have it running, and we have the state of charge being just 2 batteries. So 1 bar or 1 LED light is 25%, and so this battery is around say 50% or slightly lower than that. So now we'll have the communication cable between the battery and that on the inverter side, which goes into the BMS port. As you can see, BMS port. And we then turn on the battery, the inverter. Since the battery is already turned on, we turn it on. And now you see the inverter comes on. So we'd have to go through. Okay, so when you have a single battery, this is the way you have to do it. So you have the terminator links in the link out one, and the link in. You have the terminator cables plugs there. Excuse me, please. Then you have this from the PSC on the single battery you have that goes onto the BMS. Now, in order for us to have a 2 battery, according to the specification on the Growatt battery, you would have your link in come to the link out here. Now, if you have a 3rd battery, then it also comes from this link out onto that link in to the link out of the 2nd battery. Now, in order for us to terminate this, our terminator plug or a resistive plug comes into this link in, and would have this then becomes like a master battery. Then we have our communication cable, which is the PCS that goes into the PCS plug here. Now, this way, the battery needs to be in a closed voltage parameter so that there will not be any problem. So for us now, we would have to start up the battery. This should start up the 2nd battery also. As you can see, the 2nd battery is turning up. So both batteries are working fine. Again, we have our negative to negative here. We have our positive to the positive here, this giving us a parallel setup. And we'll have, again, this is the test run. So we have our negative coming from one battery and the positive coming from the 2nd battery. This is just a way to ensure you have a steady flow of current coming in from the charging point or discharge point. So you'd have like a loop coming on in the battery, so that ensures that everything becomes well rounded. And would have our battery inverter turned on now. So there's something wrong with this Growatt, and I think it's a bit tricky. Again, we are not affiliated with Growatt, so just gonna give you the cruise of the master itself. So number one thing to note is this is the charging current, which is 100 amps, but that isn't what it is at the moment. So this is the lithium, so we're going to change it to, again, note something, right? This is the right setup, which is protocol 51 is what Growatt Inverter, the ES series, uses with the Hope Growatt battery. But then on startup, this gives you an error. So you want to first trick the system. You want to go back. And you want to change this lithium to AGM. Now we have our AGM here. And you do that and the error goes off. Now the inverter basically just wouldn't accept the settings, so you have to turn it off. It's turned off now, and then you have it turned back on again. In all of this, our battery is still on, no charging source to this. We only have our discharge source, which is coming from the live and the neutral, and this is our discharge source, which is a 100 watt light bulb. Again, this is just simulation test. And as you can see, we have it on the SLA, which is solid lead acid battery. Which is the SLA. So in that case now, we want to this works with no error, right? So error 4 is low battery, and error 20 is communication error. So we want to go now trick the system to, as you can see, the charging current is 60 amps, which is for AGM, in this case we want to trick the inverter to thinking into accepting this lithium protocol. So we'll then go ahead and change this to 51. You press the enter to move on to the next button or the next figure, and then you do this and you press escape. That accepts this. So you then have it going into lithium. As you can see, it's changed. You'd have it changed to lithium. So now we have our lithium. So with lithium now we look at a case. We have a case now. So if we go through the settings, on what we have, you would see that we have 100 amps charging current. Now, not to yourself is this is a 100Ah lithium battery, right? 100Ah lithium battery, and it is recommended to charge it at 50 amps. Also, the second battery is recommended to charge at 50 amps. So this way, if we have 50 amps plus 50 amps, we have 100 that is appearing on the screen of the battery, on the inverter, sorry, and which is equivalent to this 100 amps. And so what we do is, this is not changeable. You can't change this figure. If you're trying to change it now, it's not accepting, right? So that's just about it. What you can do is you can change that's the overall charging current. You can only change what your AC do for you, which is that's the only thing you can change. But the overall maximum charging current doesn't change. And with this, you can have your battery inverter run with no problem. And also, if you want to see what the charging current might be, you would have to go to, I think, number 11 or thereabouts. So you'd see what the charging current is. So here is the battery going back to AC, which is to charge when it gets 50%. It goes to back to battery, cuts from grid back to battery when it is at 95%. And the only charging source here is just solar. So here we have the charging voltage CV being 53.5, and you have the floating being 53.5 also, and the cutoff being 20%. Let's see if we can change this. So your cutoff can go lower to 10%. Again, all this, I think it can go up 10%, but 80% is better. So this is 20% when it goes up, but you can also go slightly lower, say 15% if need be. And that is accepted. You can go 10% if you want to. And as you can see, we're still discharging the battery. And if we should go through the cycle through the screen, we would see that our batteries are 29%. 29% is what our battery is at, and it's discharging at 1.9 amps, which is equivalent to a 200 watt bulb we have here, which is an approximate of 1.9 times 230 watts, 230 volts, which is going to be give us around, say, that's what I just explained. So that's just about that, and I think I might be wrong on that, but then that's fine. So I think that's just a basic way to do configuration of your Growatt. And don't forget, one thing is, when you have the inverter turned off, right, as long as the screen stays on, you have your inverter being holding on to that settings. But immediately the inverter goes off, you'd have to do a reverse where to give you the error 04 and 20, and you'd have to go back to AGM, and you'd have to do a reset, moving it back to lithium. So that's the only downside with regards to using the Hope battery and the Growatt inverter itself. If you don't want to go through the stress, you can just go through the normal user 2 settings and just do 53.5, and that way you can just use the voltage settings. And if you do that shortly for you to see, just a brief understanding, the error pops up again, like I said. So to bypass that, you'd have to just do this, change to AGM. I think the error is gone. Oh, great. So the error is gone now. I think that was just a misunderstanding on my own side. So the error is gone, and right now it should give out the power. It should. So that's all about it. Cheers. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video.